Good afternoon, everyone. Happy lunchtime on this wonderful Thursday. Thank you so much for joining me. We're here at Apotecari HQ today. I'm really excited to have you with us. Last week was, a couple of weeks ago when we did our Instagram live session, it was, it was great. We had so many questions afterwards. We had, so much interaction. So we're really, really excited to bring another Instagram live to you today. And this week we thought we would have a little bit of a focus because we've been receiving so much feedback from our community and our users asking us questions about winter time because, down here in the southern hemisphere, we're obviously in the depths of winter. So we thought today we would spend some time unraveling what winter hair is. Is it really a thing? What does that mean? How can you get it sorted? Really open the floodgates to any questions that you might have. Bring them on. I want to bust myths. I want to answer any of your questions. So let's do this. I guess you've got questions at the bottom. I'm learning these things very quickly, so that's a good start. Questions below, shoot them through to us. We've also got a bunch of questions that have been asked to us in the lead up to this session. So we can get started there and bring on anything else you want to know.
We do, absolutely. We've had a number of questions that have come through. I wonder though if we should start by talking about what winter hair actually is.
Yeah, sure. So we all, I guess, anecdotally know about winter hair.
Right.
Winter hair is, and winter scalp, winter skin is where we're feeling dry, dehydrated. Scalps can start to become dry and flaky. Your hair can start to become frizzy and a little bit more difficult to manage, and definitely feeling a little bit dry on the ends. Skin, you can start to feel like your skin's a little bit more sunken. Those fine lines and wrinkles are a little bit more obvious when skin is dehydrated.
Totally.
So yes, winter hair and winter skin is definitely a thing. The source of it is really we're exposed to more heating. Our thirst reflex during winter time isn't quite what it is in summertime. Obviously in summer it's quite warm, so you feel your thirst quite readily. Then in winter time, it's not so warm, so you sometimes forget to drink some water or enough water. And that is probably, it's a very big contributor. We also have steamy hot showers, which I'm a huge fan of, but obviously it's not so good for the skin and hair. So we've got all of these things happening. The air outside isn't as humid as well. With heating inside, it removes the moisture in the air. So there's a few things happening, and yes, it's definitely a thing. There are known causes for it, and there's also a whole bunch of things that you can do to help to reduce those effects.
Right. So if all of these things are going on, there's not enough moisture in the air, we're going into heating. Is winter hair actually avoidable?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So I think, if we look at the sources, then we can start to plug some of those gaps. So for example, we were talking before about hydration, and during winter time, your thirst reflex changes. It reduces quite dramatically. So I think first things first, let's get enough water into me. We're made up of what, 70, 80, 90% water. So, it stands to reason that, water is very, very important in terms of, daily intake. If water isn't quite your thing, because I get asked that question quite a lot, I don't love drinking water, or, the taste of water is a bit meh. Just a little squeeze of lemon juice in there, or a slice of lemon, a bit of lime, helps to change the flavour up a little bit, and also obviously the lemon is quite good for your pH balance in your body as well.
Right, so far-reaching benefits.
Absolutely. So that's the hydration side, I guess, taken care of. Our skin and our hair is our first defense in terms of the external elements. So if we think about all of the things that help to protect our skin and our hair, the sebum production in our skin, so the oil production in our skin, is really important to help, it balances pH of the skin. It helps to make sure that the skin is really beautifully hydrated. exactly the same situation for the hair as well. So we want to make sure that our sebum production is really balanced, nice and healthy. One really good way of, or a great ingredient, I guess, or food, something that you can get from food sources, is omega fatty acids. They're super important for helping to balance out the hydration levels of the skin and scalp as well.
I have just a quick question in normal speak, 2 questions. In normal speak, where am I going to find omega fatty acids? And number 2, we've actually just had a question come through. Do men need to worry about winter hair?
Yeah, absolutely. The skin and hair of men is not really any different to women. So, of course, there's hormonal impact. So, for example, men have high levels of testosterone, which increases sebum production. But the thing is, anyone knows. In fact, I was just having a conversation with a colleague on Tuesday. Her husband has got dandruff for the first time.
And now being winter.
Now being winter,
right.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, it definitely happens. And that dandruff, that flaky scalp is exactly what we're talking about here. It is about that hydration. So in common terms, where you get omega fatty acids from, so you can either get them from animal sources or from plant sources.
Right.
So in terms of animal sources, the best known source is fish. Particularly deep sea fish, so things like salmon, for example, nice fatty fish. And then on the vegetable or plant base, there's a whole bunch of sources. So for example, nuts and seeds, evening primrose oil, flaxseed oil, all of the, even algae oil actually now they're great sources of omega fatty acids. While I'm talking about omega fatty acids, so not all omegas are created equal. So we've got different types of omega fatty acids. Fast foods stimulate certain types of omega fatty acids, which are actually very damaging to the body. So really important to steer clear of fast foods always, but particularly during winter time, because that's just going to exacerbate inflammation and make it less likely that you're getting the good fats in that help to hydrate and nourish.
So double-edged sword on the hydration front as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about people watching or yourself, but I tend to go for a lot of comfort foods during winter, and you're telling me now, swap it out for a good piece of salmon.
Yeah, well, there are ways to have really beautiful, nice, warm comfort foods that still get the good stuff in. So, for example, maybe switch out, an oily kind of Indian takeaway fast food kind of situation.
Not my winter curry.
Yeah. Well, actually, a winter curry would be great if you're cooking it at home and know what ingredients you're putting into it, and use really great quality ingredients. Really, winter curry's the perfect thing, because what's happening is all of those spices that you're putting into curry, like turmeric and ginger, anti-inflammatory, they help to stimulate your circulation. So we're actually, that blood flow is really important for managing hydration levels. So
right.
I
wonder if we can also touch on, I had heard something, the importance of hydration, for circulation rather, for hair follicle health.
Yeah. So if you think about our blood as an information superhighway, it's also an incredible transport system. So we've got, all of your nutrients, all of that water being carried around by your blood. And if your circulation is not where it needs to be, that there's a lack of nutrition and lack of hydration that's being delivered to all the right places. So we actually tend to find with hair loss or with slow growing hairs, that can be a contributing factor.
Listen up, men, right?
Right. So, absolutely. Anemia is another common cause of hair loss. And
which applies to both genders as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
And if you think about it, it's the iron, which is part of the blood which carries around the oxygen. So if you don't have enough iron, then you're not able to produce enough hemoglobin, which is the red part of your red blood cells, which carries all of the good stuff around.
Which can in turn result in hair loss or thinning.
Absolutely,
right.
Yeah. So there is a known phenomenon about, if you're not feeding your follicles, how do you expect them to grow? It's like having, imagine your veggie patch, or imagine your flower bed where you're not watering it and you're not feeding it all that good stuff. How do you expect to be able to grow beautiful flowers or beautiful fruit and veg? It's just, the two go hand in hand. You need nutrition to be able to grow these beautiful blooms.
Right.
Same thing with your hair.
Right. We do have a couple of questions here that I think we should get to answering so that, we can respond to our viewers. One of the questions is, how long until we start seeing results? Now, presumably, we're speaking about dietary and little lifestyle tips now, but presumably we're speaking about the Apotecari range of supplements.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so with supplements, any type of supplement, with dietary change as well, it's no different. What we're trying to do is we're trying to establish really good healthy levels of the nutrients that we need in our body to be able to produce, beautiful hair.
Right.
So with that in mind, I've just forgotten where I was going with that. Oh my God.
Which is probably good because I have a question.
Oh, okay, no, I remember where I was going with it.
You go, then I'll go. After you.
So we usually look to 3 months, that 3 month period for receiving the results that you want to see. So really for best results. In terms of Apotecari supplements and also dietary changes, we start to notice the effects sooner than that. So best results, 3 months. We start to notice results. We've had incredible results in as little as 2 weeks. The first month we might find that the hair is looking better, so it looks more hydrated, it feels smoother, it's easier to manage, and then onwards from there. And also shininess is one thing that we get a lot of in that first month particularly, and then moving on from there, that's where you get your really great gains.
Okay, all right.
Now your question.
My question was, if I am supplementing with an iron, or if I'm supplementing with the omega fatty acids that we spoke about before, how much, is there still reason for me to be having that piece of salmon every night? Or, how much salmon do I have to eat to be able to get the same sort of result as a supplement?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So really supplements are never ever supposed to intend to replace a balanced diet. I think that's first and foremost.
Do you think though, we're living, we're specifically in Sydney, but let's talk about Australia, let's talk about the whole world 2020. Do you think that it's reasonable that our diet, when we're on the go, when we're working full time, when we've got all of these other factors to consider, is actually delivering everything that we need it to deliver?
Yes and no, mostly no. So I think modern diet, and particularly, we're living really fast-paced lives, we're picking things up on the go, we're not necessarily making the choices that we need to make based on the nutritional quality of the food that's in front of us. A lot of the time we're making decisions that are like quick, snappy decisions because I need to get food in my body before I move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So really, if you were extraordinarily diligent and you really made the time to make the right food choices, and in terms of the right food choices, even simple things like, choosing organic versus conventional fruits and veg. These are all things that, that weigh in on the, am I eating a healthy balance question. So, if you're really hands on heart able to say, yeah, I eat, organic fruit and veg and lots of it, that's, the main portion, the main part of my meals, don't eat much red meat if at all, plenty of nuts and seeds. If you're vegetarian, making sure that you're combining the right protein sources so that you're creating a whole complete protein. So it's a minefield. There's lots and lots of things that you need to take into consideration in terms of, am I having a balanced diet? So 9 times out of 10, or let's say 9.9 times out of 10, the answer is no. I mean, I'm a naturopath. I've been, in this business for 15 years, and I can easily say and very honestly say that no, my diet is some days pretty crap. I run, a busy business. I've got lots of people that, look to me for answers, and some days lunch, I don't even know what that is. You know, we're all human, and you know, we can't be setting ourselves up with expectations that, you know, in today's modern society is, you know, they're really difficult, you know, difficult choices sometimes to make. So that's where supplements come in.
Right. So as a naturopath, you know that it's not always possible, and the convenience of supplements it's a reality these days.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's partly the convenience factor. Yeah, supplements are super convenient, but it's also the factor of really being able to target your nutrition for, you know, what's happening for you at that point in time.
So that said, in terms of winter nutrition, is that a very different thing to nutrition at different times of the year? Because you know, you mentioned previously iron, you know, we can talk about the omega fatty acids. What I'm trying to get at is, you know, we've spoken about the environment changing, obviously. Does the need for that intake tend to change?
I wouldn't necessarily say the need for the intake changes too dramatically. I think, you know, our body has a set of nutritional requirements, and, you know, daily we need to meet those nutritional requirements. I think, you know, because winter has a tendency to dry, we're exposed to lower humidity, those sorts of things, there is absolutely, you know, reason to increase certain nutrients that help to, you know, balance those things out. So, for example, you could increase your fish consumption during winter because you know that your skin is, you know, more dry. Or you could look to incorporate supplements, for example, you know, supplements with omega fatty acids like Crown and Glory, for example, which is exactly what the supplement is intended for.
So it's almost like a hydration type supplement,
right? Yeah, it's like a drink for your skin and for your hair.
Okay, all right, good one. Thank you.
That was your personal question.
It certainly was a personal question. Was it obvious?
Yeah.
Moving along. We do have another question here.
Yeah.
Are you shipping internationally? So I suppose, you know, it's winter here, but you know, we've got different sorts of climates around the world.
Yeah, right. Well, it might be no surprise to many people watching. COVID has been a little so and so in terms of, you know, shipping reliability. And, you know, ultimately, if there's no planes, we can't get product anywhere. So we had to make the decision kind of early on in the COVID piece that we would scale back our international shipping. We have been able to get courier partners to ship to certain regions. So I think they're listed, well, they are definitely listed all on the website on the shipping page. And obviously, you know, we're probably being watched by, you know, viewers from all over the world. So get in touch with Apotecari HQ, and we'll be able to help you out to let you know if there's any shipping that's available in your area. Certainly Australia, the US, and New Zealand, I'm pretty sure, all of those areas are
no issues.
A-okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You know, we've spoken a lot about sort of lifestyle changes and dietary changes and that really holistic piece to hair and scalp health. You know, something I always find really interesting as well is that, you know, we're speaking about dry skin, which is something I certainly suffer with, and that the skin is one organ.
Yeah.
So it does absolutely extend to the scalp.
For sure. And, you know, this is something that kind of surprises me. It surprises me a little that people don't necessarily make the connection between their skin and the scalp. The skin is all one organ and the scalp is just a part of the skin. So really all of the things, if you think about when you wake up in the morning, do you double cleanse, or do you cleanse your skin? You apply serums, you apply, you know, different treatment products, you might apply retinol products, you might, you know, we've got this whole regime.
Right.
And the poor scalp just gets forgotten about because it's hiding underneath this luscious name, but really, you know, it's just as important to treat your scalp as it is to treat your skin.
Right.
So one of the best ways to do that, of course, you can, you know, apply things topically to the scalp, but really what we want to be doing is nourishing the skin internally, and then that has a really beautiful overall effect. So really important to, you know, have beautiful skin-loving nutrition internally so that you can have this, you know, incredible scalp and skin. The other thing is, one thing that I've been really interested in is some research that's come out kind of recently in terms of aging. So we all know that, there's a whole bunch of products that we can apply to our skin to help slow down the aging process, whether it's, peptides or vitamin A or, there's a whole bunch of things that, that we apply topically. But if you think about our skin and our scalp being one organ, there's actually some research that's come out about aging of the skin and how that's influenced by our scalp health. So really this, part of the skin which is kind of forgotten about because it's under your mane is part of what's causing us to look older.
Sorry, just to connect. Is it because, like you said, we put all of this attention on our facial skin and less so on our scalp skin?
Yeah, for sure. It could be that. It's also gravity, right? So you've got your scalp, which, who doesn't love a good high ponytail to make you feel like you're 20 years younger, right? So it's exactly that same thing. So, pulling your scalp nice and tight makes your skin nice and tight. So if your scalp is dehydrated and, not in the best condition, it's going to affect the way your face looks.
Wow. So drawing these correlations, it's really important to hydrate even more so during winter when we're dehydrated and sometimes don't even know it because of the thirst mechanism, etc.
Yes.
Because dehydration leads to aging.
Yeah.
And if we're able to do something, incorporate better foods in our diets, specifically those fatty acids that we were speaking about before and that hydration, then that's going to help us with the aging process
For
as
sure.
well.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Well, that's what science is telling us now, right?
Right.
And if you think about it, it's not silly. It's not like why are we in 2020 where we're just realizing that our scalp is part of the aging process as well, really. Think about those days, particularly during winter, where you know that you haven't drunk enough water, and go and have a look at your skin in one of those high reflection mirrors and take a look at the fine lines and wrinkles that, if you're properly hydrated, they don't seem anywhere near as obvious because they're not. So yeah, absolutely, that hydration factor is,
huge.
It's huge, and you can see it for yourself. You can stand in front of the mirror with really good lighting and unfortunately, you can see those fine lines and wrinkles appear.
Right. So
exactly the same for your scalp.
Going back to that question we had before about how long until we start seeing results, if I look to supplement with something like Crowning Glory, right, the hydration supplement that you mentioned before, I'm going to see an improvement in that as well.
Yeah, that's exactly the purpose of Crowning Glory.
Right.
So, I originally developed Crowning Glory to kind of cover a lot of bases, but really it's for the hydration factor and it's for oil balance of the scalp and for the hair as well. So we've formulated that product with the specific mission, so a targeted mission to get exactly the nutrients that are required to make sure that the skin is really nice and supple and hydrated.
I'm so sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm so excited. It's not just hydration we're talking about anymore, which then, you mentioned the sebum, and the sebum obviously helps to protect the strands, so the strands are more hydrated, but it's also an anti-aging component to this now too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
All right. That was, thank you so much.
Everyone's going to go home and bring out a fish or something and get in all of that.
No, I'm going straight home for Crowning Glory. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. I'm going to move on to the next couple of questions. We've got two more here to cover unless some more come through on our live. But this one's a good one. I'm 26 years old and my hair is thinning. My bloods are normal and doctor thinks it's stress related. What products would be best to use for this?
Okay. There's some... I've got some stories to tell about stress-related hair loss, mostly my own, and part of the reason why Apotecari came to be. But yes, there is a known mechanism in terms of stress where, there's a hormone called cortisol, which is a biological reaction to perceived stress.
And is that something that everybody experiences?
So,
male, female, everything?
Doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter what nationality, doesn't matter whether your genetics are one way or the other, we all have that same mechanism.
Right.
So we perceive stress, we perceive a threat, and our cortisol levels go through the roof. Part of that is, all of our hormones have a relationship with each other. So if you think of hormones as, this orchestra, they're all working together. If you have really high cortisol levels, it has, far-reaching impacts. And we already know that, in terms of if you're feeling really stressed, how do you feel in your digestive system? A lot of the time, indigestion and, that feeling of bloatedness and, there is a true physical feeling in terms of, what the impacts that stress has on the body. But a very, very common impact of stress on the body is hair loss. One of the other really interesting things that, people might not realize is almost like clockwork after general anesthetic, after, really stressful periods like a divorce or moving house or, a death of a family member, almost like clockwork, 3 to 6 months after that period, hair loss starts to happen. And we've seen, so many of our salon partners have reported back in terms of, they know one of their clients is going in for surgery. So what they do is they start to supplement with Main Event. So Main Event is the supplement to go for stress-related hair loss. So they start supplementing with Main Event for 3 months leading up to surgery. Obviously, have enough time between stopping all of your supplements and going into surgery, and make sure that you tell your doctor about that washout period. And then after the surgery, they jump back on it once everything's all cleared up and they get their doctor's okay. And they don't experience that hair loss anywhere near to the same extent.
Right.
So yeah, Main Event is a really powerful tool. And also, let's take a moment to recognise that we're living in 2020, and 2020 is not quite what we thought it was going to be.
I did see a meme the other day. The worst purchase of 2020 was a daily planner or something like that. Oh, for sure. It's one of those years.
Yeah, one of those years where, let's write it off. But, the reality is that COVID has brought with it intense stress, whether that's, needing to adjust to a new normal, whether it's, missing the hugs of your family members, whether it's missing, social connection, having to adapt to working from home, which is, far more stressful than I think anyone gave credit for at the outset.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that we all perceive this kind of threat of a virus, which is not tangible and it's all a bit scary. So, COVID in and of itself, and 2020 in and of itself has been, stressful beyond anyone's expectations. So I think, I think 2020 is the year of Main Event, really.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. So, we spoke about using it as a prevention in the lead up to a surgery. The effectiveness of it sort of afterwards is I suppose, is it just as good? And I suppose as well, that need for self-awareness and self-reflection and knowing that you're going through these things to be able to sort of trigger, jumping onto a supplement during those processes is really important as well.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Having that personal awareness of, what's happening in your body is so important. And
so important.
Yeah, I think that cannot be understated. I think, you alluded to before how, supplementation before is great, as preparation, but there are a lot of people who, in some cases, no one plans a divorce, right? So, things happen. So, supplementing after the fact is also, just fine. Just do it whenever you can.
Yeah, just to help support.
Exactly. Support your body in the way, you're expecting your body to support you, really. You need to nourish your body and treat your body with, like a temple. I
actually think, it's really, really interesting. We spoke about the diet before. Very interesting. I find myself in times of stress, the last thing I'm thinking about is a nutritious diet.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that that's what I think of because that awareness is there, but the reality is it's not always. So this supplementation will help in times of stress. We've seen the hair loss increase through COVID. You mentioned before, you don't see these curveballs flying at you sometimes, and you don't feel like eating a balanced diet. So the nutrition factor through supplements is a godsend, really.
Absolutely. And there's a couple of things at play here. So we've got, when you're stressed, you're not thinking about, you're not necessarily thinking about yourself and what you need to be able to see through that period. So, there's definitely that factor. Lots of people find that they aren't hungry when they're really stressed. So, that lack of appetite, and, we've all felt it. That lack of appetite doesn't do great things either in terms of, getting the nutrition. Yeah. You just alluded to the fact that our digestive system changes during stress, and so we aren't absorbing our nutrition in the way we should, which is another, huge factor. Whereas our body is, such a complex system, complex machine that, one small thing happens and we find this ripple effect in so many other areas. And stress is, in my opinion, it cannot be understated in terms of the havoc that it wreaks in the body.
Yeah. Simone, I have one more question here from our viewers that we'll go through in one moment, but I personally have one for you now.
This is very greedy of you. You have asked me. I feel like this is all about you. Come on, bring it on.
It is my favourite topic. I personally am suffering from winter hair. So my question to you is this. It's actually really comforting. Knowing your background, you mentioned before 15 plus years of being a naturopath, right?
Yeah.
And we know that you've developed the Apotecari range, and we know that you've developed it based on your own personal experience and needing to fulfill a gap that existed in the market. Actually, it's probably more of a statement than a question. It's really very comforting knowing that your background and the range has been developed with this knowledge of that intricate whole body, holistic approach to health.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right, the Apotecari range came to be because I was being selfish at the time, and I was suffering from, some pretty full-on hair issues at the hands of an old stylist that I used to see. Anyway, I ended up with hair above my ears, and it was, my beautiful long mane had been singed to hell and back. So at that time, and as you said before, I've formulated products. That's what I am. I'm a formulation naturopath. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've worked for major brands. I've worked for little brands and big brands, and have developed so many ingestible beauty products. So many, and what it came back to is I looked at the market at that time, and knowing what I know about formulation, knowing what I know about the human body and how it works and how important nutrition is, I looked at all of these products and said, okay, so which one of these products, some of them I had developed, is going to help my hair issues? And I realized really, really quickly that actually none of them were potent enough, none of them were targeted enough.
To deal with your very specific situation.
Exactly,
right,
yeah. So then I decided, okay, I didn't at that time think I'm going to formulate a product. I thought, okay, I'm going to manipulate my diet so that I can get this nutrition in. And then I worked out that I needed to eat 1 kilo of ricotta cheese every day to get one of the key nutrients in.
Did you have problems with that though?
Well, I love ricotta cheese, but 1 kilo a day is, I think even for me, that's taking it to the next level.
Right.
So, and that was where Apotecari came to be. So from that point, I went and studied trichology, which is the science of the hair and scalp.
Right.
And I did that because I knew how the body worked. I knew how nutrition worked. When you learn about the body at uni, you don't go into detail about the skin and hair. It's kind of seen as this, superfluous organs that, don't really have any impact on a person. So, you don't go into a huge amount of detail, which is exactly why I went and studied trichology.
Right. So your skin and hair may not have an impact on the rest of your body necessarily, but certainly the rest of your body has huge impacts on your skin and hair.
Absolutely.
Right.
And let's just take a moment to realise that your skin and hair actually, might not maybe scientifically have an effect on who you are, but let's recognise that having bad or not feeling satisfied with your hair and your skin can have serious impacts on the way you feel about your body.
The confidence, absolutely.
So that's, that can't be understated. So even though, maybe biologically your hair doesn't do anything, so why would we focus on it? But it does something. Emotionally it does something.
Look at me subconsciously touching mine now.
Yeah.
Just a hair slick.
Yeah. Well, your hair is looking beautiful. You must be taking Apotecari products.
I actually, little secret, I knew about the stress factor and the thinning factor, so I did actually start supplementing with main event with the stresses of COVID.
Yeah. I know personally, you know, it's been a big deal. It's been a big deal, you know, within our business. It's been a big deal for our community. And I just, main events has been, you know, incredibly popular over this COVID period, and hair food as well for exactly that reason. You know, just trying to provide your body with that nourishment and the support that it needs at this, you know, really difficult time.
And now crowning glory, the anti-aging, hair hydration, scalp targeted supplement,
for
right?
Sure,
yeah,
for sure. So it's, you know, really the perfect trio to create this, you know, really personalised solution for whatever you're experiencing at that time.
and so incredibly holistic too.
Yeah.
Covering all bases.
Yeah.
Last question, unless some more start to come through.
Bring it on.
My hair is long, fine, and super dehydrated at the moment. I use an intensive conditioner on my mid-lengths to ends and a weekly treatment. Is there anything else I can do?
Yeah, okay, so I think, you know, definitely a really nourishing, intensive conditioner on your ends and mid-lengths is really important. We do mid-lengths and lengths so that we don't have lots of nourishing oils at the root weighing your hair down too much.
Can I ask why you wouldn't want to do that if scalp hydration is important?
Well, that's the thing, right? Because if you have, you know, there's this very gentle balance between aesthetic and, you know, the way you look and health, right?
Right.
In terms of the way your hair looks for some people and for some hair types, putting conditioner, particularly if it's very rich, very nourishing conditioner on your scalp, it makes the hair look very, very oily when you come out of the shower, like almost as if you're like day one, day two into your hair wash cycle. So yeah, there is that balance, but that is also part of the reason why you know, making sure that your internal nutrition is really important for your scalp health, because if you're not applying anything to your scalp, how do you expect for your scalp to be nourished? So that's the first thing, applying, you know, something really beautiful and rich and nourishing to your mid-lengths and ends when you wash it.
Yeah, so that's a tick for the viewer.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Then the next thing, the weekly intensive treatment is also super important. Yes, keep that up. Don't stop that. With both of those, please check in with your stylist, with your hair stylist as well, in terms of what they would recommend for your hair. I know, you know, being on the one shampoo and one conditioner the whole year doesn't make sense. You know, we've just spoken about in winter time, we've got this, you know, dehydration factor. In summertime, we've got UV. It doesn't make sense to use the same shampoo and conditioner the entire year round.
That's really interesting.
So chat with your hairstylist about, you know, what they recommend for right now at this point.
And also important to note, I think, for your specific hair type. I mean, we've just heard it's long and it's fine, so that would be different requirement as well.
So long and fine, you don't necessarily want something necessarily too heavy if it's fine, because it's weighing the hair down and it's going to make it look even less voluminous.
So many factors to consider here.
Right. Go and speak to your hairstylist. That's exactly what they do, and it's their expertise. So, you know, get their experience on side. So, okay, we've got the external stuff covered off.
Yep.
So, in terms of what we can do for scalp health, if that person had very dry, dehydrated hair where they were seeking out that nourishment in terms of topical treatments, then Crowning Glory is the product to go for. You know, we spoke before about how omega fatty acids are really important for hair hydration and scalp hydration. That's exactly what Crowning Glory is for.
Okay.
For the fine factor, so something like main events or hair food as well.
Even a combination?
Absolutely a combination, yeah, the two work really beautifully together. In fact, hair food and either of the supplements work really beautifully together. It's almost like an amplifier for both of the products.
Right. So when we say amplifier, do we mean sort of like almost accelerator as well?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure. So, you know, particularly if someone has slow growing hair, taking main events and hair food at the same time can really boost up the results very quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, you can start to notice things quicker, and the results are much more impactful.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So in response, sorry, just
bring it all back.
I went off on a number of tangents then. My hair is long, fine, and super dehydrated at the moment. In addition to the intensive conditioner and the weekly treatment, start supplementing.
Crowning Glory.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Exactly.
And for the fine factor, either main event or my event and hair food.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, so all 3 products can be taken at once.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are 3 products in the range.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we developed 3 products because we knew that different people required different nutrition. It didn't make sense to have a one-stop shop. There are plenty of one-stop shops already available, and people don't get the results that they're looking for. And I know certainly when I was experiencing my hair dramas that the one-stop shop solution for me was not going to work.
And when you say one-stop shop?
So like a hair, skin and nails product, for example.
Oh,
so
everything all in one product.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
exactly.
right.
So, a hair, skin and nail product might be, quite good. We tend to consider a hair, skin and nail supplement like, something that you buy from the pharmacy, for example,
yep.
as a, general beauty multivitamin.
Right.
It might help a little bit, but certainly if you're looking for, really targeted, impactful results, it probably isn't going to touch the sides.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's the end of the questions from our viewers.
Excellent.
Right?
Excellent.
I wonder in 3 points if we could bring back winter hair and maybe some hot tips, maybe 3 hot tips that you could give to our viewers. Just recapping on winter hair, it's very much a result of our environment that we're in, the lack of hydration rather in the air and the hair. And this time of year we tend to sort of move towards comfort foods, and for me that's certainly fast foods, but avoid those at all costs because they're dehydrating. We want to try and amplify as much hydration as possible. So your 3 hot tips for winter hair.
All right, so I think first things first, think about what's happening internally and how that affects you externally. And I know that that's a bit cheating a bit because there's so many things that come under that. But think about what's happening internally. So think about your hydration, your internal cellular hydration, and how that impacts your skin and your hair. So drink enough water. And make sure that you do drink enough water. So, 2 litres a day is what we really should be drinking. If you need to add things to it to make it tastier, do that, just get it in. Of course, watch out for the things that you're putting into your body and whether or not they are the right things for you. So, yes, for you, no fast foods.
I know, but just to clarify, when I say fast foods, it's not always junk. It's not always junk, but a lot of the time, and especially this time of year, it's stuff that does tend to dehydrate me.
Yeah,
comfort food.
For sure. Yeah. And look, let's take it back as well, where you can have comfort foods and they can be healthy and nourishing and healing. Mm-hmm. So, if you think of a beautiful bowl of chicken soup and how, hydrating and nourishing that is a comfort food if I ever heard one.
Right, okay.
So, maybe it's a type of comfort food that you need to be adjusting.
Need to work on. Yeah. Right, okay. All right, so stay hydrated, drink 2 litres of water a day. Tip number 1.
Okay.
Tip number 2.
No, my internal is tip number 1.
Right, okay.
No. Hydrated, yes, number 1. Number 2, make sure that you're getting the omega fatty acids into your diet. So whether that's through your diet or whether that's through a supplement like Crown and Glory, get it in.
Or both? We could...
Absolutely
right.
Both. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And, I said before, supplements don't necessarily replace a balanced diet. They're used as supplement to supplement the diet.
Right.
So yes, absolutely. Continue eating fish if that's your thing, or get in lots and lots of beautiful plant-based fatty foods as well. So things like nuts and seeds and those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. Crown and Glory is the, winter main supplement.
Yes.
Winter scalp supplement. So, supplements in with Crown and Glory as well.
For the anti-aging too.
And for anti-aging too. And the other thing is be conscious of your environment. So, those super hot showers that I was telling you I'm a super big fan of.
Yeah, not just you.
Not so much. Yeah, I know. And especially during winter, I feel like it's the only thing that gets me warm into my bones.
The steamier the better.
Yeah, same. So look, no more full-on steamy hot showers.
Right.
Bring it back. There is something to be said for, when you're washing your hair, doing the final rinse in more tepid water, so kind of blood temperature. Mm-hmm. The idea there is that, if you're using really, really hot water to wash your hair, you're dehydrating it even more.
Right.
So use, tepid water or body temperature water. And it also, there's some school of thoughts that say that it helps to seal the cuticle and help to keep it nice and flat as well. So the frizzy, flyaway, breakage, all of that sort of stuff that comes with dehydrated hair can be alleviated somewhat with, reducing the temperature of that border.
Okay.
Heating as well, be conscious of your environment and the impact that can have on what's going on with your hair and scalp too.
Okay. All right.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you
Done
so
with
much.
another Instagram live. Thank you.
No,
Thank you
I
for being
think
the perfect co-host.
it has been really very insightful, knowing that winter hair is in fact a thing. Knowing that winter hair can be, you can look to combat it, and it doesn't actually have to be a thing.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So here's the rest of winter, with winter hair not being a thing.
Yeah.
I feel like we've got enough tips there to see us through the rest of the winter. And well, I don't know, with all of this information, maybe winter hair won't be a thing for some people next year.
Perhaps it won't.
And if it won't, that would be pretty cool.
If people do tend to have questions and would like to ask them more personally, is there an opportunity to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So always via our social channels, we monitor them, throughout the day. Our email into our HQ is monitored all the time, so it's hello@apotecari.com.au.
Easy to remember, hello@apotecari.com.au.
That's it. Or phone. So I think I should know this. 1-800-APOTECARI is the phone number. So we've got, obviously we're a team of naturopaths, and we have a lot of experience working with, personalised service and making sure that people get exactly what they need for them personally.
From the range.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. It was wonderful to spend Thursday lunchtime with you. I hope you're all eating something delicious and comforting but nourishing, and no fast foods for lunch today. We'll be back again in, maybe a couple of weeks' time and do this all again. Of course, if there's anything that you want to know in the meantime, feel free to reach out, and I can't wait until I see you next time.
Thanks so much, Simone. Thanks for everything.
Thank you.